There is no bigger car carrier in the world than Faust. None more high-tech.
We have twice of everything. It's a double. I actually have 4 autopilots.
A winter crossing to America with thousands of European luxury cars will put Faust and her crew to the test.
You don't want shifting cargo, that's a serious problem, yeah.
In spite of storms,
she starts to roll a lot.
the threat of fire, and stowaways.
There's so many possibilities to hide in the ship.
Nothing must put a dent in her schedule or her prized cargo. She comes out of the haze like a colossal apparition, towering above the waterline. Faust, a gigantic floating car lot. Big ticket vehicles only, please. Her job is to pick up and deliver the world's most expensive automobiles. She's arriving in Southampton, England from Germany, hauling the creme de la creme of cars around the globe. She's a supersized 230 meters long and can hold up to 8,000 cars. That makes her the biggest vehicle carrier on the planet.
Ideally, we want to start on the upper decks. About 300-400 units to go up here.
As much as a quarter of the 64 million vehicles manufactured each year are exported by ship. It will be an intense stop. Faust has to load 1,000 luxury cars bound for North America. And she's only got 8 hours to do it. She'll take sports cars, heavy equipment, Jaguars, Rolls-Royces, $65 million worth, all with perfect paint jobs. New owners expect a scratch-free delivery in just 9 days, but they're in Newark, New Jersey, the other side of the turbulent North Atlantic. And its gale force winds could turn the ship's hold into one enormous heaving parking lot. Safe passage for this Swedish vessel and crew of 22 is in the hands of Captain Henry Bromé. He's a master seaman who worked his way up through the ranks.
I started as a deck boy, and I have been an ordinary seaman, able seaman. I've been a third officer, second officer, chief officer, and then ended as a captain.
He'll need all that experience. Bigger than most ships, Faust has size on her side, but ahead of her is the North Atlantic, and it's winter. Captain Bromé must plan well because his cargo cannot sustain any kind of beating.
Go the right way then. Move out of the way, people. You're all on my ship, are you?
This freight is so fragile, it takes highly skilled stevedores to load. They've got to be as specialized as a pit crew and as fast.
Cheers.
For Faust to cast off on schedule at midnight, the stevedores have to finish by 10, and it's already 2 p.m.
When we start the load, which will be starting the car straight away, 850 various new vehicles.
They only have 8 hours to load, or they'll jeopardize their scheduled delivery.
And that's pretty much it. If we can load up the buses and start the vessel, please.
The 31 drivers can't just park their rides all over the ship. Everything must be packed as tightly as sardines and as carefully as bone china. It's meticulously planned, and Stefan Brismay is the chess master.
That's loaded, so you don't have to worry about that.
I think I've got enough staff for the 2 points.
Yeah.
The clock is ticking, and the top guns get to work. They've got an accident-free record and the right stuff to load every vehicle with no scrapes, bumps, or panic.
But obviously the driving skills have to be good. We do assess them. They get tested by our in-house tester, and if they're not up to scratch, we don't use them.
Each vehicle must stop for the electronic gun that reads its barcode. Everything must be tracked on and off the ship. They're in a race with the ebbing tide, and Faust's efficient design helps.
Now we're standing on deck number 5, and above us we have deck number 6 and 7, which can be hoisted up to different levels.
Vehicles can fill every inch of Faust's colossal hold, as big as 11 football fields. It's time to tighten the seatbelts. The violent North Atlantic can toss these cars around like toys, so they're tightly braced, just centimeters apart.
This allows where the ship's rocking, even though they rock in unison, there won't be any contact.
Every vehicle is equally spaced. So even though we've got different sized vehicles, the actual distance between each vehicle is the same every time.
There is one exception.
The Rolls Royces, they require a 1 metre clearance all round the car.
Cars worth $500,000 each get first-class accommodation.
The lashings is 3 on the front and 3 on the rear. On all other vehicles, when they're stowed, it's just 4 lashings, 2 on the front, 2 on the rear.
Cars that come loose could get banged up. With all that weight aboard, big cargo shifts can make a ship unstable. Faust has to stay balanced.
So this is the ballast control room, or ship's office we call it also.
Urban Anderson is Faust's chief officer and second in command.
This type of ship, a ro-ro carrier, we need ballast all the time in the ship to keep it upright, because it's a big volume of cargo.
Faust's ballast system consists of 20 interconnected water tanks. When the ship lists to one side because of shifting weight, ballast water is pumped to the opposite side as counterweight to maintain equilibrium. As the vehicles roll in, the evening rolls on. Drivers race to get the job done. But there's a delay on Faust's runway. It's backed up with heavy tractors and crates holding 90-ton generators. And if that weren't enough, the tide is rushing out. In 2 hours, Faust has to close her ramp or miss it. She's nowhere near fully loaded.
I mean, I have 104 tractors, but I would need some 40, 50 tractors more.
Most of the stevedores will soon go off shift, and they need every single one to get this ship loaded on time.
You need to talk to the captain, because I need more time for operation.
Stefan Brismay talks to the shipping line's business agent.
Because I don't know how much labor I will have after 10 o'clock.
Captain Brome has 2 choices. Take longer to load with fewer stevedores and risk missing the tide, or cast off with cars left in port. His decision could threaten business for the 9-month-old ship, still building her reputation.
What's going to happen now is that the agent is going to come on board at 8:45, and then he and I is going up to the captain to discuss the departure time. I've been talking to the stevedores.
Yeah.
Completion 23:30.
We need at least 1 hour for the search of the vessel also before we leave. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So 1:30.
Yeah, should be okay.
Right.
Decision made. There will be no car left behind. Captain Brome takes a chance with the ebbing tide, and loading continues. The captain has to make up for lost time. Even before Faust's ramp goes up, he orders a start to the final security check. They're looking for stowaways. Early this year, 4 stowaways got to Canada by hiding in a double-decker bus on a ship out of Liverpool.
Search deck number 5. Start from the aft and go forward. Jonathan, you search deck 1 to 4. Yes.
Thousands of car trunks, thousands of places to hide. And there's no way they can search every car on the ship.
I have experienced stowaways on other ships. Same company, we went down with used cars to Nigeria, Lagos, and of course we ended up with 13 stowaways. 7 of them we found before departure, but 6 of them have climbed so deep inside the ventilation ducts.
They've searched as many cars as time allowed before boarding, but it may not be enough. Now the crew scours the ship's hold for intruders. Stowaways are usually people looking for a better life elsewhere, and North America is the holy grail. But it's a serious crime, and the crew has a responsibility to prevent it. Suspiciously, one of Faust's latches has a broken lock, and it's right near the head of an air shaft.
There are so many possibilities to hide in the ship, but we try to go through all spaces, machinery spaces, cargo spaces, look a bit under cars and so on, but especially inside ventilation ducts.
There's nobody in the air shaft, this time. But there are lots of other hiding places. The crew will keep their eyes open for the entire journey. But for now, they've got a ship to sail, and the tide is dangerously low. Getting free of Southampton's most shallow pier won't be easy. With over 30,000 metric tons of cargo weighing her down, Faust is sitting less than 1.5 meters off the bottom. Any contact, and vehicles could shift, unleashing a disaster. One wrong move from the bridge, and Faust could be grounded. Faust is already 2 hours late leaving Southampton Harbour. The tide is going out, and the ship must leave with it. Packed with vehicles, she's less than 1.5 meters from the bottom. If the water drops any lower, she'll be stuck in port. But Captain Brome gets some help.
Feats, yes, Faust.
From the harbour pilot.
Could I have another tie gauge reading, please?
It's the pilot's job to guide Faust through the shallow port and out to the open sea.
Thank you. I've done something like 4,000 runs through the district, so a lot of it's up there.
But with her hold fully loaded, Faust has to break free of her shallow mooring.
Okay, shall we let go?
Let go of everything, sir, thank you.
The pilot orders cast off. They throw all the power they have at it. It's now or never. Faust's bow thrusters work overtime trying to drive her nose away from the pier. A tug digs in, straining to haul her into the harbour.
Yeah, sorry, can you lift off easy, please?
Yeah, Roger, sorry, off easy.
You can let me know when the bow thrust is clear, sir.
Yeah.
Faust isn't budging.
She's a heavy lady tonight.
Yeah, she is.
The tug will have to work harder.
We could just give her a little kick astern just to help the bow thrust, if you like, sir.
Still nothing. Then, after 12 tense minutes, Faust begins to shift.
And sorry, you can drop round astern now, thank you very much.
Yeah, Roger, sorry.
Faust slips the bonds of the pier and moves into the channel.
Yeah, sorry, she's turning nicely there, thank you. If you want to drop astern, we'll let you go.
Yeah, Roger, sorry, let go.
Okay, so midships, please. Midships, yeah.
All stations. This is Southampton Coast Guard. Southampton Coast Guard.
Can you steady up on 220, please? 220. 220, yeah.
Faust reaches open water an hour and a half after casting off. The pilot's work is done.
See you, gents. Thank you.
Finally, the transatlantic crossing is underway. 4 hours till sunup. It's 11 a.m. on day 1 out of Southampton. Captain Brome has been up for several hours. To help him plan his voyage, he uses a unique computer software program. It integrates daily weather and sea conditions with Faust's current position and speed.
This system is only made for this ship. All the dynamics for the ship is put in the program.
But the program goes one step further. It tells Captain Brome how Faust will behave in a storm.
So if you have planned your trip and you see that you're going to have bad weather, you can go in and check how much is my ship going to roll, how it's going to affect my cargo. So it's a very valuable tool for us.
And for every other tool and major system on board Faust, there are backups, in case one of them fails.
We have twice of everything. It's a double. I actually have 4 autopilots. We have 2 autopilots here, and 1 autopilot on each bridge wing.
Faust's advanced technology make her virtually self-guiding.
But we cannot rely on them anyway, because we have to rely on our own senses in the first place. So this is just an aid for us, all the computers and all the equipment. We are controlling them, they are not controlling us.
Captain Brome will have to use all these weapons to deal with what's ahead. A major storm lies directly between Faust and her destination. All ships try to follow the shortest routes from Europe to North America. But there's a violent weather system forming along the eastern seaboard, right where Faust needs to sail.
A low-pressure system means a lot of wind and sea, high waves. And this one is going to deepen very quickly.
The North Atlantic is notoriously treacherous. It has sunk ships far bigger than Faust. Ove Åkesson is a marine weather specialist from the Swedish Meteorological Institute.
I have been invited by Captain Brome to follow the work on board this ship on this crossing, to see how our weather information that we provide them with is being used.
Yes, Ove, the latest forecast just arrived now.
So we will have some adverse wind and sea here for...
It will increase for the next days here.
Yes.
Faust may have to fight winds up to 100 kilometers per hour. That's almost hurricane force. And waves up to 3 stories high. Captain Brome will try to skirt the edge of the tempest by sailing south of his original route.
No, you don't like to be too close to it because you can get 8 to 10 meters sea there.
But eventually, Faust will have to turn north to reach New Jersey, and she'll sail head-on into the eye of the storm. Her big box shape is great for holding lots of cars, but those broad sides can also catch strong winds that could dump the ship.
It's if it's coming in like this in the aft of the ship. And then she lifts up the stern where she have most stability, where she's widest. And then she starts to roll a lot.
A perfect storm of waves could be just ahead. Down below, they have to be ready. The crew checks the lashings on every vehicle. If they come loose when the ship rolls, it's fender benders at best. At worst, the sudden shift of weight could sink Faust.
Lashing could be found in bad angles. We correct these angles and so on, but the following days we know that all the lashings are there, so we just use these inspection lanes and look to starboard and port.
The cars are safe and secure. And Captain Brome makes sure his crew will be safe as well. So he orders an abandoned ship drill. The storm could rupture Faust's hull or flood her hold. She could go down in a matter of minutes.
Anders på väg ner.
Crew must reach the top deck fast or be trapped inside. It takes 5 minutes to deploy her conventional life rafts. If she sinks any faster, Faust has a free-fall lifeboat. It can get the entire crew off the ship in about 2 minutes. It's dropped, shot head first off the stern, more than 30 meters into the sea.
This is the main release. I will pump here until the free fall just fall in the water.
It's a violent and potentially dangerous plunge, as shown in this simulation. But it's worth the risk because it can save lives, and the crew may need that escape because the danger is closing in.
This is the low pressure developing, and it seems to develop more rapid than we expected. So this wind is not to be found in any map. So
An average of 2 ships are lost or damaged every week due to severe weather. And with 10-meter waves and 55-knot winds ahead, Faust could be one of them. Three days out of Southampton, and it's been smooth sailing for Faust. But it's not going to last. The massive storm off the US coast has moved east. It's come sooner than expected, and it's bearing down on Faust.
Up here over, it's a lot of wind. It's steepening very much.
It's a storm low, actually. Yes.
Very.
So
it's a real storm center. It's about 60, 70 knots. And high sea, 7-8 meters of sea here.
The crew is warned to stay off the decks. At 1 in the morning, the storm hits. 55-knot winds are 100 kilometers an hour.
this was a bit unexpected, I must say. It is probably a cold front that has passed us, but the wind was much stronger than I had thought it would be behind it.
In the past 2 decades, more than 200 ships, all as big as Faust, have sunk in weather like this. Most have been caused by freakish rogue waves. Faust will need to use all her tools to weather this storm. Most critical, the engine that has to hurtle her forward through the rough seas. Her single prop is powered from an engine room 3 stories high. 7 huge cylinders churn out 21,500 horsepower, the strength of 7 locomotives, turning Faust's giant propeller up to 105 times per minute. There are thousands of working parts in this engine, and perfect upkeep is more important than ever as Faust sails into the storm. If the engine fails, the big ship will be left rolling helplessly at the mercy of the gale. Upstairs, 3rd Officer Maria Moberg can see that the engine is struggling against the headwind and losing speed.
Right now, we are almost 24 hours delayed because of this wave has made the speed drop.
Faust has a berth reserved in a busy port. A delayed arrival could cost tens of thousands of dollars.
We're only doing 30 knots. We should be doing 17, 18.
Moberg is just 6 months out of naval school, on her first commission, and in her first severe storm.
If we get the swell in from behind, then she will start rolling quite a lot.
Captain Bromé wants to assess the situation for himself. His feel for his ship may be Faust's best defense against the attacking weather.
If you've never been down here in a storm, then you don't have the right picture of the situation when you are on the bridge. Down here you feel the ship's movement and you see the cargo moving and the tension on the lashings, and you hear the noise. You can get a better feeling how to ride the ship. So you don't let her roll too much.
So far, so good. The dangerous rolling hasn't begun. The cars are still secure. But Urban Anderson doesn't trust the supersized freight.
So this piece over here is the heaviest piece we have on board. It's 90 ton. Inside here is a big generator.
If this monster breaks loose, it could crush everything around it.
It happens from time to time that cargo come loose and damage cargo around it, and you don't want shifting cargo. That's a serious problem.
The heavy cargo is secure, but the crew must remain vigilant during their cargo inspections. Thousands of vehicles jostled around with their tanks full of fuel could quickly turn Faust into a floating inferno.
Then you're using more other senses like smell, if you smell gasoline, or looking a little bit for oil on deck. Some cars, even new cars, leak oil.
Fire is anything but an imaginary risk. The car decks and the engine room are equipped with elaborate sprinklers. They eject a fire-suppressing mix of CO2, carbon dioxide.
Back here in the ship, we have a CO2 room with the 2 CO2 tanks containing the CO2 for fire extinguishers of the ship.
CO2 is shot out from a sprinkler nozzle and smothers any flames.
They contains altogether 52,000 kilos, so it's liquid in the tanks. When it goes out of the ship, it goes through the nozzles, and then it's gas.
For fighting fires, CO2 is as effective as it is deadly. Once released into the ship, this invisible, odorless gas could kill everyone on board. So car decks and engine rooms have airtight hatches to keep the gas in the holds and away from cabins and crew. There are hazards everywhere on board, including the galley. Inger Seely has been
You have to make the food in here, but when it's rolling, you have to be very careful because otherwise you can spill it over your stomach and then you burn yourself really, really bad.
Inger is treading carefully. She's already survived one injury in a storm.
I break my leg in a really bad sea, so I put in my foot around in the corner here, and there I was laying for 3 hours. And then I was on a sick leave for 2 years.
The storm pummels Faust for 5 more hours. Finally, it moves on. Faust has survived. But a sensor warns that the gale may have damaged her in the process. Faust is now 2 days away from New Jersey. The storm is in her rear-view mirror, but it gave the ship a beating and she may be hurt.
We have an alarm.
Faust is wired with thousands of electronic sensors that monitor for problems.
It was an alarm from a bilge.
The bilge tanks must be checked out immediately. One of them could be cracked. Crew is dispatched to the very bottom of the ship where the tanks hold all of Faust's wastewater. A crack lower down in the tank would allow dirty, untreated bilge water to leak out into the ocean and let seawater into the ship. The rushing water weight could cause Faust to become unbalanced, or worse, she could sink. There's no telling what they'll find down there. They have to suck out all the sludge so the bare walls can be checked for cracks. They don't find any. The alarm may have been triggered by the higher than usual water levels in the bilge, leftovers from the storm. Faust is safe. So is the ocean around her. The contaminated bilge water will not be dumped into the fragile sea. Unlike most ships, Faust stores hers on board until she reaches port.
All sludge we have on board will be pumped ashore via a barge and be recycled ashore. So we never put anything dangerous into the sea or any liquid that is oily into the water around us.
Faust is a big green poster child for eco-friendly ships. Even that green paint is unleaded and safe for the environment.
The environmental things are very important to the owners because it's not because they're forced by the law or anything. It's because they care about things like this.
Faust's eco-beauty is more than just skin deep. It goes all the way to her core, her engine. She only uses biodegradable lubricants and burns one of the cleanest fuels in the industry. She emits almost a third less sulfur than any commercial ship her size.
So we try to keep the exhaust as clean as possible.
She's even eco-friendly in her ballast. Ballast tanks draw in and release seawater as a counterbalance when there's a weight shift. The world's oceans are contaminated with man-made pollutants and harmful microorganisms. Mixing foreign bodies of water together when discharging ballast can destroy marine habitats. So Faust's ballast water is treated before it's sent back into the sea. Heavy particles are first removed with filters. Then the water is mixed with a non-toxic light-activated solution. It kills bacteria. Faust is a modern technological marvel, but every sailor must still rely on ancient maritime traditions.
I mean, sometimes you have really big waves, and small boats can sometimes disappear in between them. So it's always good that you have ice watching as well.
And the swell?
I would say about 3 meters.
Jonathan Jansen has 2 years of classroom experience, but there's no substitute for a 360-degree view of the ocean.
I'm learning pretty much everything. It's navigation, maintaining course, altering course, keeping the sea regulations. It's one thing to learn it in school, and it's one thing to be out here and actually do it.
Even Faust's veteran crew must continually hone their skills to stay in peak shape. And that means full-fledged fire drills. They're mandatory, and everyone plays a crucial role. From the bridge, where they use sensors to pinpoint the fire's location, to Urban Anderson on his walkie-talkie below as he relays that information. To the fire crew itself. Artificial smoke gives the crew a claustrophobic taste of the real thing. They have to charge into it and find the victim inside. A crew member plays the casualty.
And finally, we find this man missing in the floor in the air-conditioned room. We try to do it so much realistic as possible. We practice minimum every 4 weeks. If we change more than 25% of the crew, we have to do it within 24 hours. We do a fire drill.
With the drill over, there's no time for a long break. Trouble's on the horizon and coming fast.
We will have wind around 45 to 50 knots and sea around 5 and 5.5 meters. We must cross it, otherwise we have to go very far south.
Night is falling. Another storm is on its way, and they're about to hit it head on. It's day 8. To avoid the storm, Faust has had to alter her course, and she's now too far south. To get to Newark, New Jersey on time, she's got to turn 32 degrees north by northwest and right into another gale.
The pressure is building here outside Cape Hatteras, and it's moving north, and it's just ahead of us here. And we will have about 5 meters sea and 40 knots of wind.
It's no hurricane, but it can spawn the same threat that Faust had to respect in the last storm: rogue waves. They come out of nowhere in weather just like this. Walls of water up to 30 meters high. They have sunk ships in minutes, leaving not a trace behind. Faust's crew isn't allowed outside, but they go below to check on the cars in the hold again. It's the second storm in 8 days. They're weary, but they can't let down their guard. And then the gale gives them an unexpected boost.
Actually, we're making a little bit more speed. It's pushing us a little bit on the stern, so we actually increase the speed a little bit.
Now the wind is their friend. pushing them toward New Jersey.
I think if you go over 3-4 hours, it will start to drop. The wind speed will start to drop, I think. That's my guess.
By early morning, the storm passes and the sun breaks through. Newark is only a day away, but for most of these 22 Swedish mariners, home is still 6 weeks away. They work 10 weeks on, 10 weeks off. It's a long haul. John Redgefeld makes the best of watching his kids grow up on a computer screen.
That's my baby, my newborn. Yeah, it's really great. I can see my kids and how they're growing, you know. Because a lot happens, small babies, a lot happens in 3 months. She says I have very short hair, you know, because usually when I'm home I don't shave it this short.
Urban Anderson is also a family man.
They will not forget me. I mean, I make phone calls almost every day and so on. So, and 10 weeks for kids, that goes very quickly. Yeah, so.
It's easier for younger sailors like Maria Moberg.
Well, we are pretty many young people here on board, so that's good. I checked the crew list the other day, and we were 8 people born in the 80s. On my last ship, most people were over 60 years old.
Faust is as comfortable as a working ship can be. She's got spacious cabins, great food, lounge areas, and other than meatballs, what Swedish ship would be complete without a sauna? It's a great place to recover from a stormy crossing. But this crossing is almost done. Faust is about to hit the congested inner bay of New Jersey. Time to make sure the rough sailing hasn't knocked her systems out of whack. Before Faust comes near shore, port regulations require that the crew test the ship's ability to come to a complete stop. In a busy harbor, a runaway ship spells disaster.
So be able to do the stop maneuver, and I have to reduce the speed now slowly. Remember handstyrning. Jag tar handstyrning. So I bring her down, RPM by RPM, slowly, because if I do it too fast, it's not good for the engine.
Anders Andian has cut the engine, but it's going to take more than that to stop a ship this big. Faust's steering rudder does that job. It can turn her sharply sideways to bring her to a complete halt.
So if we have an emergency, then we have to stop the ship. It's much more efficient to give hard to port or hard to starboard, and the ship will go sideways very rapidly, and the hull will stop the ship.
Faust's unique rudder can flex a remarkable 65 degrees, twice that of conventional rudders, because of an added flap mechanism. It makes for a very sharp turn.
But with this rudder, you have a much more power in, so you can help it to turn.
As an added precaution, Captain Brome also tests the rudder's manual steering mechanism from down in the engine room.
Yeah, okay.
Faust engineers turn her hard to starboard.
If you look at the stern, I'm going to give a full rudder. You can see the power of our rudder.
With the flap rudder fully deployed, Faust comes to a full stop in less than a minute. She passes the test.
Everything working in good order, no problem at all. Steering and engine is working very good.
Yes, we have a big stamp here, so I will put it in the logbook.
Faust is ready to venture safely into the channel.
Full ahead.
Full ahead, ja.
På väg till 294.
There will be other ships jockeying for position in the harbor. Captain Brome can only hope that they've all passed their safety tests as well. For 9 days, Faust has played pinball with storms, bouncing from one to another as she ducked and dodged her way to New Jersey. The squalls are behind her, and she's on time. But there's a new challenge ahead for Captain Brome: crowded Newark Bay. Only a month ago, it had to be closed when 2 ships collided. It's open again, but before Faust can enter the narrow channel to reach the pier, she must first get through the outer bay.
Pilot boat is on our way now.
It will take 2 pilots to bring her in, one for the bay and one for the inner harbor.
Pilot time, 9:30.
Navigating here is like air traffic control. Good communication with the harbor master is crucial.
Good morning.
Sea pilot William Wood is first at the helm.
Everything is working good, Ken?
Yes, everything in good working conditions.
Very good. Inbound, approach Ambrose Sea Buoy. Deep draft is 30 feet. Length of roll is 747 feet. And we're bound up for 17 port north.
The traffic has started. Dead ahead, a ship crawls toward port. She's like the slow driver in the fast
We
lane.
can go flying up and try to overtake them.
Traffic.
His speed, he's right now, he's almost 2 miles ahead of us.
The further in they go, the more the channel narrows.
So, T, are you delayed, Captain? You want?
What speed is he doing up there?
10, decimal 8.
To the bridge is about...
It's gonna be over an hour.
They decide to trail the ship. She's already too far ahead.
We're not gonna make it. All right, let's go ahead and stop the engine.
Stop engine.
Even with her propellers stopped, Faust's momentum will carry her forward for several
We're
kilometers.
gonna stay behind this ship up here.
They slip under the Verrazano Narrows Bridge and throttle up Faust's engine once again.
Dead slow.
Now a second pilot, Tim Nielsen, guides Faust down the winding trench through the inner harbor.
The Faust. We're westbound on standard tank bound for berth 17, Port Newark.
Faust is nearly in the home stretch. She makes a sharp 90-degree turn and enters a narrow channel, and is immediately confronted with another ship, smack dab in her path.
Slow ahead, please. Slow ahead.
There's no way Faust can get around the tanker.
Stop engine.
Stop engine.
They hit the brakes a second time and wait while tugs push the tanker aside. Tim Nielsen eyeballs his way through the harbor, using his instincts more than instruments.
Head chip.
But they're not in the clear yet. Up ahead, the Bayonne. It's the 3rd longest steel arch bridge in the world, and it's only 46 meters high. Faust has to aim dead center to clear it, with less than 3 meters to spare.
Starboard 10. Starboard 10.
She's through. It's 1 p.m. and right on schedule, the pier is in sight. Time to see how the prize cars fared on their bumpy journey.
He's probably once a few meters in.
After 5,800 kilometers at sea, 120 Jaguars and 210 Land Rovers roll onto the shore without a single scratch. Thousands more remain in her hold. Faust has 3 more drop-offs to make on the eastern seaboard. Then it's on to the Panama Canal, the Pacific, and finally to Asia to reload. It's high pressure, hitting so many ports so quickly. But this crew is equal to the task.
I trust my people. I know they can their work, so I can relax and trust on them. It's a very nice way of working.
Faust is less than a year old, her journey just beginning. With her sister ships, she will transport over 2.25 million vehicles every year. But as the star of the fleet, Faust will work the hardest. Every year, she'll carry as many as 50,000 vehicles and travel 5 times around the globe. It's a never-ending, daunting responsibility. But like the cargo she transports, Faust was built to move.